Welcome to the Front Row Back Row podcast presented by Physiogrowth. We're your hosts, Brian, who scaled a PT practice from the trunk of his car to 6 locations, and Owen, who helped lead an 8-figure exit and now runs a cash-based PT practice. This show is real conversations from owners actively building with what's working right now. All right, today we're going to be talking AI, just like pretty much every podcast, YouTube video on the face of the earth. But today we're talking about how physical therapists can use AI and honestly the dangers of overusing it. It's a great tool. I don't think it's going to take over the world, at least not tomorrow. And I'm seeing now a lot of the average rank and file therapists, entrepreneurs, business owners who are treating patients, busy and all that. You know, you can kind of now tell they're using AI either the most basic way, the way I use it in my mobile practice is I use it to help me write notes, all the way to social media, and you can get even more complex with website building and some more structural things, and then even operationally, right, with voice agents and call setting. So today we're going to kind of give, I don't want to say an update because we're not AI, software engineers. We're not going to tell you that, but we're two business owners at two different levels, right? Brian has 6 insurance or 6 clinics that take insurance, right? And I'm a mobile cash only PT. So this hopefully will resonate for anybody who's listening. We're kind of two different sides of the spectrum, but we don't both are finding ways to use AI and kind of let's talk over the benefits, but also the pitfalls.
So
So Brian,
yeah,
I know
I'm going to
this
jump in real
came
quick.
on because I insulted you.
Well,
So
no,
tell
it's
me
it's not
that.
about insult. I think to kind of elaborate more. I love that Owen talked about that we're not software engineers. However, we are physical therapists, business owners implementing a lot of AI into our businesses in different places, and so. Yeah, this sparked because I used AI that, by the way, I think has been successful so far in what I was doing and
Well,
trying to
I'd
do.
I'd I'd wager to say you've done it more, way more than the average.
Yeah.
You've tinkered with it. You've done a lot of stuff either in your business and then also just kind of educationally. You've been looking it up. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see kind of what you're running into with some of the stuff.
Yeah, well, I think, and the pitfalls, the way that it came out was almost like, hey, this is very AI based, and I think you can tell in AI in Owen's kind of opening argument there. I think Owen's a touch skeptical of AI. I can
The
hear it.
insult I had, just to clear it up for anybody in the car,
Totally,
is like,
totally
what are
bring
these
it.
people talking about? That what I said was Brian made a post, and everybody's seen these posts on LinkedIn where it says, the typical therapist thinks this, but did you know that? Or the part that they don't tell you is, or the little truth that nobody wants to tell you, blah, blah, blah. And that's almost like okay, we put this in ChatGPT, and
Well,
yes, okay, I get the concepts, your idea, but like I stopped scrolling immediately when I saw that, and I was like, Brian, a little bit
well,
AI.
here's what I would say, right? And this is what I would say to anybody out there about AI. And I thought actually there's a guy, I'm going to call him out because I don't know if he listens to it, but I like this guy Jared Hall, who I've never met,
Oh yeah.
never met. But yeah, I've seen his stuff on social media. I think he's great. He had a really good post that he was talking about earlier that was like, where did all this authority come from that's false authority? I think we see it. Listen, you and I started this physio growth thing fully out of me trying to help Owen as he was building his business, and I've just gone through it before. There's no difference between Owen and I. Owen's always been an entrepreneur at heart. I know he could crush it, and he has just because of his expertise. And I think one of the main reasons for why Owen's business has really taken off and built quickly is because Owen's a very good physical therapist. It's that simple. On top, well, along with doing a lot of stuff that we talked about to get himself noticed, right? Like you got to be a good physical therapist first. And Jared was basically talking about how's all this authority just naturally happening to people? And I think it's kind of a combination of a couple different factors. But I wasn't going to get into that. But clearly the post was organized with AI, in my opinion, because or if not, he's a tremendously eloquent writer, right? Like one of the two. And I think that's the thing about AI that I've used it for, and that's what Owen was calling out. Like I am not naturally a great writer. I want to be a better writer than I am, but I've never been great at it. And I remember when I first started my business, writing ad copy, doing these different things, it was very challenging. And there are ways that you can read books that you can use persuasion techniques. You can do other stuff. Like there's certain writing, but just the aspect of writing things down so it sounds, articulate and people enjoy it and it flows nicely. That's one of the best things I loved about AI out of the gate was I was like, oh my God, I can speak and dictate into this thing, these comments, and it will come out with a really good idea. So like, I'm going to read it real quick because I know everybody is, if you are actually listening to this, it's like, oh, what did Owen call out? And here's the story. I'm going to tell this exact story. So we were at a career fair. I won't blow up the school, but I was at a career fair at a local college here. And I was really blown away walking away from these different physical therapists. Two things stood up to me. One is there are so many physical therapy professors and physical therapists out there that want to treat one-on-one in the clinic, right? Cash-based physical therapy, 45-minute treatments, hour. I want more time with my patients. Yet I was blown away by then the lack of disconnection when people were like, "Oh, can I like intern or be an aide at your office this summer?" And I was like, "We don't use aides. We treat patients one-on-one for 40 minutes." And they were like, "Huh?" Like there was like this weird like I was like, "That's a stupid fucking conundrum. Like why would we be thinking about how let's push that whole agenda to our PT students, but then also give them the same tutelage to go work at one of these shitty places where you're an aide?" It just was so funny to me. So that was the one thing I walked away with. The second one was how awkward a lot of college age students are, particularly in grad school or physical therapy, just struggling to communicate what they do. And I think that's going to be a very lost art in the physical therapy profession. When I'm a 4.0 GPA, I'm going to hand this over to you and be like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And meanwhile, like our whole job is how to communicate with patients. And
How to get the construction worker to do terminal knee extension. Yeah.
exactly. And I'll give you an example. I had like a weird case yesterday with like someone who had a humeral fracture, proximal humeral fracture. And the reason she fell was she has a very undiagnosed like neurological disorder. And the way that she was communicating was bizarre. I was like, there's something weird here. Like something, and like it's undiagnosed. And I basically, the way that I don't even think I communicated overly well. I just was like, hey, here's some of the bizarre things I'm seeing behaviorally. She's doing like, I'll give you a great example. She was like, you like this one. She was like raising her arm over her head and she just kept going, ow, ow. Every time I got to like a pain threshold, I was like, well, that's fucking weird, right? Like that's not how normal people react to pain, right? Unless they're super anxious. And I was like, don't worry, like it's not a big deal. Like I understand there's pain. You can just tell me, hey, I start to feel it. But she never stopped. So like I was like, okay, impulse. We started talking through the process, and I was like, listen, is she normally like does she have this cognitive issue? She goes, there has been some cognitive changes. I go, have you explained that to a neurologist? I was like, because these are things that play into stuff like Lewy body disorder or other things, dementias or different types of things, brain tumors. She had something. So we anyway, this is all to ramble on. This is part of our profession. And so what I was talking about with this profession was, hey, a lot of what we're doing is communicating with people. And there's a lot of young people who are in PT school that are struggling to communicate. And maybe this is part of the burnout problem is that they're going into a profession now where you got to be able to communicate with very difficult people at times and in their moments of stress. And therefore, right, like that could lead to some burnout of like, I hate this job because I can't do it well. And so anyway, as you hear all of that, even Owen smiling at me, being like, "Holy crap, what is going to be? Land your plane, brother! Like, let's go." Now, I'm setting this up because I dictated this to ChatGPT so it could land the plane. So here we go. Ready? Here's what
I
it
didn't want to
here.
say anything.
I know, but now here, like, what my point being is, here's a real life thing that happened to me, a real life observation that I had. And then organizing the thoughts instead of writing that would have taken me a while. It would have taken me, I don't know how long, but all day, a couple days, right, to articulate that. ChatGPT does it in minutes, if not
Mhm.
seconds. So here's what it came out to with that story. We're graduating smart PTs who struggle to talk to people. I was at a local college career fair recently. Dozens of PT students came up to the table. On paper, they were stacked. 4.0 GPAs, impressive resumes, all the right boxes checked. But the moment the conversation started, it fell apart. Not just awkward, empty. No real back and forth, no clear story, no ability to explain what they've done recently, what they care about, why they choose this profession. It felt like they were waiting to be interviewed, not trying to connect. That's not a confidence issue. That's a training issue. We're producing highly educated professionals who were never taught how to communicate, and that becomes a serious problem in PT because this job isn't just exercises, protocols, anatomy. It's sitting with someone in pain, talking through frustration after surgery, helping someone who can't do what they love. That requires patience, empathy, real conversations, not rehearsed answers. So what happens? we send people into a profession where most of the job is human interaction, and they experience that as draining, uncomfortable, and forced. Then that's where burnout starts. Not just from workload, but from the communication fatigue, from dreading conversations, from avoiding depth, from feeling like every interaction is work. If you can't communicate well, this profession will feel a lot harder than it sounded. And then I kind of had, we'll also talk about the second piece, which is I wrote a blog post about it using AI as well. And then, so I wrote a depth here in this topic. And then I said, be honest, are we under training communication healthcare? So again, that's how you can use AI to really streamline your thought processes. And we do a lot of marketing for Physio Growth on LinkedIn. So this is a way, I know that I just taught for what, 10 minutes feels like in a row. This is
Yeah.
this is how we're utilizing AI that I feel
Well,
like is a really good way to do it.
it's a really good point because, there's some people who have the gift of gab. There's some people who their favorite class was English class until they got to PT school, right?
Yeah.
And they can write a great post on between patients and everything's great, or they can write a great email, or they can, if they're updating their website or something, they can write a good blog post. All of that. That's not the average, right? And the issue with these models, especially in the early days of these models, is that you would put all that in, right? You would dictate that to them, and it would come out with, some of like the same 10 or 15 kind of scroll stopping lines and things like that. Now, I
Yeah.
think the models themselves have gotten better at that, but I think that as people listening to this who have to communicate to their patients, who have to communicate to via either social media or if they're sending a bunch of emails to doctors, things like that, they have to be wary about how they're, again, this is where I say don't use the free version, spend the $20,
For sure.
right, to get the paid version because it will, once Brian writes that in and then he says, you know what? Sounds too right? And I
Yeah.
want to take out these words and this made me cringe or whatever. In the paid version, it remembers that, right? And
Yeah.
then he doesn't have to do that work the next time. Free version, it doesn't. So if you're as an owner, think about that stuff. But I think the important thing is what do we really care about? We care that a seasoned owner who has 15 years experience as a PT, who has 6 clinics, who has hired hundreds of people, gets his understanding out
Yeah.
to other therapists, right?
Yeah.
And that'll be something. Now, Brian, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't that wouldn't stop him to be doing that pre AI. Like it's not like he wouldn't have written posts if he felt that passionately about it, but it definitely would have taken more time. He wouldn't be doing it as frequently. He wouldn't be sharing that knowledge. And you could take this clinically too, but in our world, business wise, to more people. So this is where I think, yes, I'm totally okay with the AI organized posts because I would much rather have people like you, like Jared Hall, like all these guys who've
Yeah.
done it, have their ideas out there and digestible. And then you might have 3 great ideas in a week because of what you do. Whereas you never would have written those up if they all took a day to write a post.
Well, that's my point. So I agree. I think actually what's interesting that and then this is why feedback's so important. Like again, this one Owen saying what he said was good because one of the things that's interesting is I've been using a GPT that I programmed, and for those of you who don't understand what that is, you can create in Chat GPT, you can create what's called a GPT. So these are great things for repetitive things that you use. So like I've done a macro calculator for this for our fitness members. I've done high rocks workouts. So if you do programs of workouts, honestly, GPTs are great for if you do home exercise programs. So like there's so many places you can use this stuff. It's awesome. You can create a project. So like say, actually, I'll give you a great example. Me and my a project um within ChatGPT, it could be that I want to upload files. So for those of you who know like a recent thing, even in the paid version, if I put something in there, I have to re-upload it again and again if I want to, and I have to start back over. As a project, it's almost like it lives there in its own folder on a server. And then me and Owen could also like own one. So say we wanted to do something, we could also put it together and then we can do it. So like one that was great that I didn't even realize we could do it. We did it in real time was me and Kelly shared one to come up with the whole week's plans of chaos of all the things that we have to do with our kids and our different things we have to do after school. And then we were able to do a huge scheduled text that I could send to my parents. We did it in minutes. That would have taken us like hours to do before. So this is the thing that's really cool. So the input's still the same, but to Owen's point, I'd use this GPT, and I think what happens is it wasn't learning over time because it resets each time. So that was also kind of interesting. So I realized I'm like, okay, like on the GPT, just look at that concept. On the flip side, I think what's also interesting is how many different ways you can use other parts of exactly what Owen just talked about, the paid version, to customize things for yourself, and and,
Well, let me
and
go
create new
through.
content. So go ahead.
Let me just go through like the basics because creating content is something I have to do, right?
Yeah,
As a single operator solopreneur. And honestly, the only other thing I can really add to this discussion about how much I use AI in my practice is notes, right? And
yeah,
I have a GPT and I just start the words with, I want this, I want this, I want this. I don't, so you can do this either via your EMR, right? Or you can do it on like a AI server. You just never use names. I just never
yeah,
use
yeah.
anyone's names. I just say first patient October 1st or whatever. Um, so these are all the different things that you can do. I just think it's fascinating that you can train it and you can
Yeah.
create kind of agents that do this for you. Now, going forward, then, I want to know from you because you've done some more technical stuff that I haven't even thought of like
Yeah.
website building using AI. And you talked about your macro calculator, something that you either definitely give as a freebie to your patients. And honestly, I think you could probably sell it. Those are
Tried, didn't
things
work.
that are that, oh, did it?
Flopped.
Those are the things that like a next level owner might be
Yeah.
thinking. Or so like talk us through that. Like what's your experience been with website building, with creating like a digital product,
Yeah.
with creating just SEO. I know you just apparently you're an SEO
SEO.
expert now. I have no
I,
idea.
I think here's the thing that's great. And again, Owen opened this up with like, I'm not a software engineer. So I'll be the first one to tell you that, right? Have I always been interested in computers? Like, yeah, I guess to a degree, but nothing like insane. I mean, Owen's known me my whole life. I've never been like a tech geek, right? Owen, like I've never like somebody who like you would think of as like this early adopter. Um, but what I think is really great is you would have to hire all these people. Like as a business owner, even still someone who can hire these people, one of the things that I've recognized, kind of going back to that Jared Hall thing, we've hired people to do AI stuff and it sucked. And we had other people that did website stuff and they sucked. And we had other stuff for digital marketing and they sucked. We had other stuff for SEO and it sucked. And so when you think about all these different concepts, the biggest thing that we changed was I was like, let me learn how to do it myself. And if I can, fantastic. Using something like Claude, I was saying this to Owen, and Owen was kind of like, wait, but you can't do it this way. I was like, actually, you can. Was we literally were just starting to build website. For those of you check out our new website at physio-growth.com, and you can see what I'm talking about, was you're able to, I understand the marketing concepts of how to be, a website that gets across a goal of what you're trying to do. Um, I do think that's where I have watched some people like get lost down this rabbit hole where I don't think they understand the true concepts of like what they're trying to actually create. Like there's one guy that's like, I'm trying to create this crazy AI thing. And I'm like, what's the end goal with that? Like, what are you going to do with that? Right? Like for me, creating a new website that's engaging to new customers and new prospects, incredible, right? Are there different ways that we can qualify people? Are there different products that we have in place? Well, that's a really great tool that it can fill in. And by the way, new websites used to cost 15 grand, right? Like there was a lot of stuff around that stuff. So I think in general, like the GPTs, I'll tell you why like I'm not that upset that I couldn't sell it because I thought it would be cool to be able to sell, and I think it's good enough to be a sold product. But I think that so many people can make it anyway, and that ChatGPT could do
Yeah.
it. I don't think they need to buy it. And the reality was, it also just saved me a buttload of time. Like what I used to do, that's I guess one thing I would think for anybody who's listening to this. This is the guess what I'd say. If you're a physical therapist, here's why learning AI is helpful. If there's a repetitive task that we do on a regular basis, that is where it'll be good in general to learn how AI could replace it. So, like for instance,
Mhm.
that's why billing is huge because coding and that's why scribe is happening. So that's why like documentation, these repetitive, crappy tasks we don't like. By the way, definitely start with the repetitive tasks you don't like, right? Like that's
Yeah.
also good, right? On top of that, if you think about the stuff around, for this, I don't mind helping people with their nutrition, but the same repetitive problems kept coming up. People were eating more than they should have. They were drinking when they shouldn't be. They were eating other stuff. They were doing other things. It's like, hey, Just have this thing that you can talk to in real time. And then the problems that I had in my business was I couldn't get back to them fast enough. They need to make it very user friendly. It need to be simple. So we're able to create a GPT that I was able to help everybody. And then what it did was it minimized all this work I had to do and allowed people to get great results. That's awesome. And that's
Well, and
super value.
I think that's the important thing and why we're kind of doing this kind of AI update in the
Yeah.
real world is that I think if you look back on our podcast when you were like AI is going to be everything this
Yeah, that's
and I
right.
think we're starting to realize that while it's not everything, it definitely can save time, which in a business is money, right?
Yeah.
Think about this with your macro calculator, right? Yes, if I was offering a product and I said, and I can solve your nutrition, say if in fitness or even with physical therapy, right?
Yeah.
Is it going to be as good as a nutritionist for every single person, like the diabetic who is at risk for like amputation? No, like I would want to contract
Yeah.
out or refer to a nutritionist for that patient. But is it going to
Exactly.
help Susie lose 10 pounds? Yeah, I don't have to pay the nutritionist $50 an hour
Yeah.
and then charge the patient $70 so I get a margin. I can just say like, here's a
Yeah.
macro calculator, and then just
Yeah.
keep updating me. So it'll save the patient costs, it'll save you time and costs, and then same thing with a website, right? Is our website right now on physio-growth.com the same intricate all the different H1 tags and SEO and all that stuff that someone who spent 30 years doing web development? Probably not, but it's close enough, right?
Yeah.
It's close enough to get the job done of we are good at what we do. You should talk to us. This is how you connect. And for
Yeah.
most physical therapy businesses, that's all you want your website to do. You want
Yeah.
your website to take a person who's like, I have pain, I need physical therapy, and then make sure they walk through the door. So thinking about AI as the panacea of problem solver is not the best, but doing what you're doing, where it's like I can shave this much time off and I can shave this much off,
Yes.
is really where I think the clinic owners who are going to get ahead in the next 5 years, they're doing that now.
100%. I think the bigger thing around that concept is, and I'm going to give you a great example of how I think this is helpful, is for me, I look at this as if I were to do, all right, I'll break it down this way. The fitness program that we have, right? We charge $6.99 for a 6 week challenge. That
Okay.
includes classes, right? The biggest limiter for me was one, they would go into a class with and I coached some of these classes, but not a ton. We had other coaches that were in there. The big limiter for me was I would do these nutrition consults. And if I had like 10 people that I had them on, right, that were doing these things, I had to meet 10 times in every 3 weeks or so. And then what I found was the touch point needed to be significant. Well, here's what happened. I still do some of these meetings, but they're far less because now they have this macro calculator. And a lot of it is like, how's it going? What are this text? And I can see because they're talking with this AI instead. And I just have to coach them on how to use the actual calculator. Now, when they come in, I'm like, here's the links beforehand, watch the video, set up the thing. And then when you come in, we'll do a weigh-in and we'll be fine. The people who actually struggle the most, um, they're the ones who essentially like they're the ones who essentially are like they don't have they use the free version of ChatGPT. They're not like, they're not that ideal client in that way. So anyway, there's a little bit of that stuff where like you have to get through that barrier, but
Well, and
but
there's
it,
going to
but
be
it cuts down. Yeah,
if you could take 50% of the work off, I'd sign up for that. And then it's
exactly.
only going to get better every year. People who aren't AI native or who aren't even computer native, like anybody over like 60, after the next 3 or 4 years, they're going to kind of have to know how to use this stuff to get by.
Yeah. And also, here's the best part. For the $20 a month, that thing I put together is free, so I just give it away. And so now if
Mhm.
I give it away to other people, it's like free marketing, right? Because it says like Evolution by Brian Wolfe, like it's free marketing in that way. So we've used, and we've also been able to streamline across our company. So all of our guys are using it now and giving it to their people like, oh, they really like the macro calculator. So now I can multiply myself multiple times. So
Mhm.
it creates a better touch point, a better product. So that's something that's really easy to do. Along with like again for me with certain like if you've listened to podcasts, I'm pretty into high rocks. Like the high rock stuff and the program we've done, I've just created the programming through AI. I think there's pitfalls to that. I think you do a little bit better with the with I think you can do certain running programs and other things a little bit better. I think it's still like certain humans that are like that good at doing certain things are going to be able to still surpass um, what you're doing on the I guess on the AI side. But yeah, nevertheless, I mean, we haven't really driven into Claude, but the Claude side of website development, SEO, and all that stuff, like, yeah, I don't know the specifics of website engineering. Here's what I do know. When I went to a free training with it, all the people that I know that are software engineers were at that training. So the reality
Hmm.
of what's happening is look no further than there's people that are like, holy shit, this is going to take my job, or it is going to optimize me because I know it even better. When the reality is like I know I've had some people who like their website sucked, and I was like, let me up the ante here by doing this better. And the SEO side of it, I think I'm only going to get better at just because I don't know it well enough. That's all. So
Well,
it's
think
yeah,
about the FRC stuff, the functional range conditioning. Everybody
for sure.
that was all fitness, and then a bunch of PTs are like, "Holy crap, I got to be at this." And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
then the class is all, and now I mean, it's I don't want to say standard of care, but it's if you're a PT and you're an orthopedic and you don't know what CARs are, controlled articular rotations, like that's tough. So
Yeah,
I think that's the same thing with AI is, you could be the world's best software engineer, but if you don't learn this stuff, you're not there.
yeah.
So it's fascinating.
The thing there's a couple different things I use that are like catch buzzwords. There's this guy John Mendez. I'll drop him that he's a local guy here that I've worked with, and so he always used this line, and so I stole it from him, and I'll be the perfect. It's not that AI is going to replace you; it's that someone using AI will. And particularly in our field, the good news is I don't think AI is going to replace physical therapists, but physical therapists who own businesses or own specific parts of businesses or are interested in things outside of physical therapy that they think they could improve. AI is going to be a gigantic tool and accelerator to push them past people. So to me, that's where you got to embrace it. And then I also have said this. Me and Owen said this on a call with somebody. You got two choices. You got three choices. One, you can stick your head in the sand and say, I don't want to use AI. It sucks, blah, 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 and not use it. You can embrace it and learn it really well and then dump it all over your business, or you can learn it really well and then not use it in your business. So like if you're gonna to me, Owen just kind of said something that sparked that. If you're gonna learn it and then not use it, perfect. That's fine too. Like now at least you know, right? Like you
At
need
least
to
you're
know what to do.
prepared. You can
Exactly.
see, oh, the guy who's eating my lunch is using everything AI,
Yeah.
and the only way that you know that is because you've learned AI. And then you say,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, I'll pivot. I'll use that now. Right? So
Yeah.
it's not that we're saying you got to change your whole, PT clinic into a software company. I don't think the experience on the table, quote unquote, in orthopedic world, I don't think that's going to get terribly affected by AI.
Yeah.
But how the patient gets there, what they receive, how much time is freed up to focus on that patient care that the patient really cares about, all that is going to be optimized by business owners who are using AI for the business side so that they can better deliver the clinical side.
Totally. Totally agree. And I think that
One thing I wanted to
yeah.
ask you, you were using a voice agent, if I remember correctly,
Yeah,
right?
we were.
Before. Just an update for anybody listening to this. Are you still using it? Did you have any pitfalls with that? I know I
This is a
saw
great
about
question.
18 different, I've gotten like 10 different ads for it, right? I know Simple
Yeah.
Talk, I think, is the biggest one.
Simple Simple Talk's the one that we used. Here's the pitfall that I have found. And this
Just for
is just
reference, this is
yeah.
a call setter. Somebody calls
Yeah.
him off of an ad or whatever, and then the AI voice agent calls them and says, "Hi, would you like to be on Brian's schedule for a discovery call where you can talk to him about your injury,
Yeah.
your rehab, whatever it is?" So that's just to
Yeah.
lay the foundation.
The issue that we had in general is people just aren't ready to trust AI like that in general. I
Mhm.
don't want to shit on Simple Talk. I think Simple Talk is great. I think they're going to do a good job. I think the voices that they're using are getting better. I vastly, and again, here's a great example. We learned the AI and then we actually stopped using it, right? Um, because what we found was our engagement was actually not very good with the AI voice
Mm.
recognition. Because what was happening, people were getting frustrated, and then people were saying, "Well, the AI is doing this, and the AI is doing that." That's the other thing you got to be prepared in your business is who are going to be pushing back against the AI. And it's like, guys, maybe we just got to train it to be better and better and better. And the resistance and uphill battle just wasn't worth it. A lot of people are just like, I would just rather talk to Brian. Um, some of the voices are getting better, and I think that we talked about this with Paul from Strata PT, right, or Strata, um, and he basically said, he goes, it's going to be indiscernible in a few years. So I don't think it's not that it worked. It's just that people aren't ready yet, and the AI
Mhm.
technology is not good enough to dupe you that it's not AI. right? So I
Yeah.
think that's the problem is it can be utilized, but I think like in the cold leads with cold leads, which is what we were trying to utilize it for, it people don't trust it. So because people don't trust it, it kind of defeats the purpose with the cold leads, makes it more challenging.
And that could be a time thing too. There's history is littered with new technologies that nobody liked, and then 5 years later, everyone's using it, like email,
100%.
internet, all that stuff. So it could just very well be, yes, there's an issue with, you can definitely tell it's AI right away.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think the biggest thing is if I'm calling a physical therapy clinic and I want to spend my money and there's no one to pick up the phone, okay, maybe it doesn't turn me off. Maybe I understand the business, but probably I don't,
Yeah.
right? And they don't sit there and say, well, it's because he's so busy, because he's so good that way he can't make these phone calls, but he could hire somebody, but then they don't do the business math. They just say, look, you can't call me. What the hell?
Yes,
So,
for sure.
I understand that you're a consumer. You're not supposed to be a business owner. So, well, that's interesting because I remember using it, and of course, again, being on this podcast and being a business owner that uses AI, I thought it was like, hell yeah, I don't care who calls me, like as long as I get a schedule and all that. It sounded fine to me,
Yeah.
but it was definitely not a real person.
For
I'd be interested to
sure.
see how it goes, like Paul said, in a few years.
I agreed. And I think it will get to a point where people are really into it and really using it all the time and not even and just being like, oh, it's fine. Like there's one that I have that's in a company that I use for like a rent thing, and I'm like, this is actually great. I like using this thing. But I remember the first part of the early adoption was like, oh, that thing kind of sucks. It can't do this, can't do that. I'm like, I don't know. You know what? It's nice. I can text it at fucking 2 in the morning and no one gives a
Mm,
shit. So like,
yeah.
so like, to me, and it seems to relay certain information. Whereas like, if I go to this place right now, they're away for a training thing. It's like, oh, I get that, right? So my point being is, I think that again, AI is only getting exponentially better and faster. For those who haven't checked it out, Google Will Smith eating spaghetti. It's kind of an amazing thing. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's like Will Smith eating spaghetti the first time with an AI thing versus like now, and it's remarkable on the video side. So that's the thing that I saw the other day that I was like, holy shit, this is wild, what's happening. So I think the same thing here. I think physical therapy and every to me, if I was going to think about disruption, our hands-on stuff, our exercise prescription, our brains are going to be something that AI really can't disrupt. But I do think that like everything else around us will be very disruptible, like front desk procedures, billing authorizations, insurance stuff. You're already seeing that. I think, the good news is Scribe, the things that we don't like doing because there's other physical therapists who are going to try and um, you know, try and disrupt that. Scheduling. So like the people just call and deal with AI bookers and they'll just schedule you. Like it'll be awesome. I truly think so. And then eventually take over the world and we'll all work for it like in the Matrix. And that's what'll happen.
Yeah, why
There
not?
won't be
Yeah.
batteries.
If
So that's how it'll
well,
happen. When
and
that
if
happens, I don't
you're
know.
and that's where I think because you have AI Scribe for your EMR or no?
We do. We use
Yeah.
Apellis. Yeah.
Like I think that when it comes down to it, the burnout issue in PT, AI can really make a dent in it. And I mean, we talked about this on
Yes,
an earlier podcast, but like that's a decider for some people,
for
right?
sure.
Like, think about if I went to, we don't have to get into a hiring podcast, but it is a differentiator if I'm looking at two clinics with equal pay,
Yeah.
is, oh, the one that I don't have to spend an hour each day writing the notes, that's great.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, AI, obviously, when this all came in, it's all hype, right? But it is interesting to see what, a day-to-day business owner who has embraced it, who wants it to work, and has actually put the money behind trying it, has seen, right? Outside of just your typical, okay, I signed up for the Scribe feature on Jane, or, I use ChatGPT to write my Instagram posts. So that's good, man. I love it. I think that if you're a physical therapist, business owner, and you want to understand this stuff, I mean, God, tell me how many people have put it in at scale, like Evolution has
For
in
sure.
Connecticut, Long Island. I mean, there's very few out there that have even done that. Plus, they don't have a mentorship group. They don't have
Yeah.
this kind of tool that we do for business owners, $100 a month, physio-growth.com, new website. Well,
Yeah.
same website domain, but
Yeah, yeah,
fancier website.
for
I'll,
sure.
I'll be
Check
honest. I made the last website. It's much better. Um,
where
and if you want to
AI
send,
was better than what Owen expected. How's that sound? Good, good.
there you go. Where AI won.
Where AI was
Um,
good.
and if you want to know more, sign up. $100 a month. We do 4 Q&As a month. You can ask these questions. You can bounce it off people who know.
And we'll make you a new website. We have a new service. I'll make you a new website if you want.
There
But
you go.
you gotta check out our current website and tell me if you like it.
I
Cool.
like it. All right, my
All right.
friend. We are out.
See ya.